Hello and thank you for tuning in. So this is a part 3 of 2. I made a 2-part video and now it turns out a third part actually seems like a good idea. So for this video I have 3 cards here. I have a high played and inked Mox Emerald. I have another high played and inked Beta Mox Jet, and for a control comparison I have a Beta Natural Selection. It's somewhere around near mint, maybe near mint minus, and I just want to show exactly card for card here, because I did a previous video using my Beta Chaos Orb, which is not the most severely inked card I own, but it is quite inked, and more obviously inked, let's just say, even though the wear on the card was comparable to the wear on the Mox Emerald. It kind of was starting from a different place. So, and it also wasn't a Mox. So let's just look at the Moxes. The thing to note about Beta cards, and my experience, my limited experience collecting them compared to others, is that you really got to check these edges here on Beta cards. Oops, let's see if I can get it. These edges here, you just need to go around always and look at your Beta edges, because especially Moxes and stuff that have play, the more high played it is, it just seems to me the more likely it is to be inked. On high played cards, I find quite frequently evidence of inking on Beta cards, because that's what people did back in the 90s. Now, most people don't do that today, because that's considered, altering your cards and it devalues them. But back in the day, these cards were not considered to have this level of extraordinary value, so it was an understandable thing to do. And I want to see if maybe I can, well, just for the camera here, let's see if I can tilt this down, just for the video. I could tilt this down, and I can see if I could get, so this is the Mox Emerald, and the side we're going to look at is the most obvious inking side. There is a little ink everywhere, but let's go see if we can get it to focus on my finger here. There. Okay, so it's focused on my finger, and as I tilt it there, you hopefully it's easy enough to see that there's these black lines that travel from one end of the card all the way to the other, and that is the inking, and that's not normally there. That area is white, and you can actually look at the Mox Jet here, and you'll see, look, it has that same darkness there that travels from one end of the card to the other, and that is the inking. And if you want to look for comparison at the natural selection here, let's look at it. That's not the case. It's clean. We don't have that type of color traveling. All right, so let's go back to what we're going to look at here. Put it on the mic on the screen. 1 second here, I'll just show you actually. So this is the microscope setup, and the way I'm going to be holding the cards, so you'll understand, is I'll be putting a white background behind them so that they can so there's a contrast behind it in order to pick it up with the microscope, so it will focus on this edge. Otherwise, it's very hard to get the microscope to focus on the exact edge of a card without this. So I'm going to be holding this paper here. I'm going to be putting under the microscope very much like at this angle there, and you can see it on the screen. And that's how that works. So we'll view the top edges of these cards, because that's enough to make the determination that the cards are inked. The other areas of inking, we don't need to just look at today, really. We'll just look at those. So I'm going to start with, let's firstly, I don't know, I guess let's use a control first. So this here, we're going to go with the natural selection, the Beta Natural Selection, and I'll be passing it under the microscope now. There. So let's look at what that edge looks like. You can see the blue core in the middle between those two, and you have black on one side and black on this side. We're looking over the edge of the card, and let's get it a little better in focus here. I apologize. There. See both sides of the card. You can see how the black border and those two sides of the card are. You can see what the original black ink that's printed on the cards from the factory, what that looks like. It's very, very dark, and it doesn't fade. That's an important point. So I'm going to try to get it in a different light, but that black ink, or that black printing, let's get it right on there, a little better. so I can talk and show you at the same time. So it's quite hard to by hand get these to line up sometimes. Maybe I'll just try flipping this. There we go. Maybe that's going to help flip that around a bit. Okay. Come on. All right, where is the focus? I think I'm getting it. Almost got it. There. Okay, back again. Here we go. So go along the card and you can see what the white edge looks like of the card. And the black that you see on there is nice and solid. And whenever it is removed or somewhat damaged, right? Like when some of it's removed, it's just gone. It doesn't like have really much of a half tone to it. Do you see, does everybody see that when you look at it? So look at this edge. You can see the blue core in the middle. You can see, even though that edge is like pretty much a near mint edge, you do see the detail. It's about 200 times magnification, I believe here. So although my microscope doesn't have a thing to indicate how much magnification I'm using, I know it goes up much higher than this. So yeah, I think that adequately, if I just get the focus one more time, maybe, come on, one more time. There. So you can see what the edge looks like. It's solid black except where it's removed, and there's no half tone. It's fully removed. You can see the blue core and you can see the white edge. So that's a natural selection. And then let's go for another known control. This Mox jet I know is inked. I've done another video on it and I didn't use the microscope to show it because it wasn't necessary, but let's just go ahead and look at it with the microscope. Okay, so you see the edge is very different now. Let's get to an inked area. I think there's one coming up on the left here, which is much more easy to see. Okay, I'm over the Mox jet part. I need to get over here. So, go. Go along here. So there you, let's get that in there. Sorry. I'm just struggling. I'm going to rip up this white paper is just a bit too big to hold behind the card correctly. I'll try this one more time. I think that's going to make it a little, there we go. I can probably hold it better now. My bad. I like to authenticate cards and look at stuff like this, but making the videos is still not my strength. Okay, so here we can see evidence of inking. We can see, I'll try to, maybe I can use my cursor. I'm going to put my cursor here, which I think you guys might be able to see, towards the middle there. And I'm going to try to line up the inking on the cursor. So right there is some, and you can see it also fades out. When it wears down, inking gets to kind of like a halftone color as it's faded, because the inking is deeper in the card than the ink from the printing facility, which is more like layered on top of the card in opaque printing fashion, as I'm told. So there again, it's when it's there, it's a little darker. So you'll see there's a darker spot. There's inking, there's more inking right along there. There will be some more inking here. There's a larger dot of ink right there still. There's some inking here, inking there, and as you move away, and there's some more inking right here and there, and then here's some more inking. And as you move around the area that's the inking, you'll see that there's kind of like this faded out inking happening. There's a more faded out inking right there. I apologize for my shaky hands. There's more, this is faded out inking right there. You can, when a card doesn't have any inking, even if it's dirty, you can see it's not pristine white, but right here where I am, that's like just a dirty area of the card. It's not pristine white, but it doesn't have this faded ink area either. So that's a big difference to note. Here too, the inking is not completely removed. It's just kind of half faded. Visually, like holding these cards in my hand, I can tell you right away that they're inked. I just come on to here to show it more conclusively in a way for other people. But you know, when you've handled inked cards and you know what to look for on the edge, it's just really obvious. It's like this dark black on the edge, and it just doesn't look right. The wear pattern looks a bit off generally when there's inking. It can look off. It just gives, you know, reason to look here and have a peek. So again, and you can see there's a difference in color. This color here of this black is not the same as this black over here in this area. This area of the cardstock down there is one black, and then this is a different black. And you'll see that throughout. Again, up here, over here, more inking. So I've gone over those areas on this card. See if there's anything else over here really of note. Not much, you know, maybe a little residual ink over here. You see how it's fading out around the ink. So we'll go now to the card we are here making this video kind of because of. It's this Mox Emerald, and I did a video where I showed the edge of it already. So let's compare it. Does it look more like the uninked card, the white up part of it, or does it look like the inked card? Oop. Okay, well there, look, I'm quite on edge, and you can see right here, right? There is the core. I'm right on the core, and on both sides of the core you got this area here and this area there. That is the ink fading away from the edge. I got this, I think I have this card held better on edge than the last one, so we're actually looking down on both sides. You can see over here, you can see a bit of the black from the other side. You can then see some of the faded ink. You can then see the core, and you can see some more faded ink. And here again is some more faded ink right on top of there. That's faded ink. Let me try to find an area here while I'm looking at it that has some less faded ink, perhaps. Yeah, so maybe right here on top of the L and the D from the emerald, it seemed to be. Okay, let's see about this here. Okay, right there. Right there. So that's let me get it in the right spot. That's your ink area right about there. That's what you want to be looking at up here. And you can see a little bit of a darker patch. Other than that, most of the ink is faded off this card. It wasn't perhaps as badly inked, and perhaps it's been played more, and the play wear has worn a lot of it off. So those are the cards I kind of want to show you for contrast. I did a video on them. Man, it's not so easy to hold these cards on edge. Come on, there we go. Maybe some more light too would help. I forgot to put on my second microscope light. Hold on. This could make it a little easier. Okay, it's a little brighter now. Maybe also change the angle. No. Okay, there, now we're less on edge and we're more looking at just this side of the card. So you can see that this area here that's dark brown, that is the inked area right there that has worn away. Go back across. Here's some remaining residual ink, and you just see though, look at the white where it's worn off on the actual card. You don't see that brown. You don't see that like fading. It's either there or it isn't, or it goes a little gray when it's almost finished being removed, but it doesn't change colors to this kind of like brown green. Now I'm not a color expert. I've even been told I'm a little colorblind, but even I can see I'm a little deficient, but even I can see that it looks, you know, it might look a different color to you, but it looks kind of like browner or greener where the Sharpie starts to fade. And again, you'll see even high areas of wear and stuff on the original black border. That's not present. That's not what it looks like. It only does that when Sharpie ink fades. Let's go across here. And so you only will see it right at the border where that was used in the first place, like right down here too. There's a little spot. I guess it went a little further. I don't know the whole history of how it was inked, but anyway, and yeah, here on the edge you can really see some of the residual ink right at the edge. Like it's dark right there and it's fading away from there. So that's this card. Now I'll just do the Mox Jet, you know, here one more time, just to show you there's the Jet. And I'll hold it at this angle here so you can see again what it would look like at that angle. And you can see right there, look, dark black, fading away from there. It's pretty, you know, there's all this faded away section. Oops. There's all this faded away section, right? But then there's like this strong black line right there. And that's part of the ink. That's not, if I turn it over, that's not the blue cardstock. The blue cardstock center core is located a little further in the card over there. That's the core is over there, and then you come down a bit and there's a bit of the ink line left. Yeah, try to move around here, see if we can find some more. Again, yeah, so here you can see some examples of the ink. Oop. So I'm losing some of the lighting. I wish the lighting was a little stronger. Maybe if I move it down a bit there. Oh geez, come on. Doesn't seem to want to focus with the lighting for me here. Every time I get close to showing what I want to show, the lighting kind of dims for some reason there. Okay, well I can't get the arrow on it, but up at the top you can see the darker part, that is the inking at this angle. And there too, you can see it's not the same as the black. It's right above there, there's that area of ink. Same here, there's a nice line across of it right up top where it's fading out, and there too as well. Okay, so that's the other control. This is a known inked card. I mean known inked. I bought it recently, and I've looked at it, and it's a more obvious case. If I pulled out the Chaos Orb, which I'll do, it's probably the strongest example of inking that I on a high play card that I would show. Here we go. So this is my Chaos Orb. It's a beta as well, and it was more ink than the other two cards, and I would just say that less of the ink has been removed. Let's see about getting it to focus. Yeah, so you see this color here is the inking. Yep. And it's really unfortunate. For whatever reason, the light is not really being my friend today on this card. I'll try to angle it a little differently. Come on. There. So you can see that inking is at the top. That's still some dark ink. Over there it's fading out. That's the top of the Chaos Orb. And you can see it all the way along the edge. There's some more inking. I wonder if I can see if I can adjust the focus here. That would certainly help a lot, eh guys? My apologies. As I continue to record these videos, I'm sure I'll get better at getting this in focus more often. Let's see if I can get it down here. No, that's out of focus. There. Okay. Oh, it's driving me. I don't understand why this thing just keeps dimming, like auto dimming every time I get it just about right in focus. It's so frustrating for me. I'm sorry about it, guys. Okay, here's a good example. See if we can get, so you can see that's the inking up at the top of the Chaos Orb. Right there. And maybe there's another good patch of it. I hold it down. If I hold it down here enough, I can get it to focus down there. There we go. Okay, that's actually much better. Now I got it. Okay, so that's better lighting, and you can see that the ink, what the inking is, it's right underneath my cursor. So let's go across. You can see dirt is different. Dirt is like a discoloration at the top, and this here, this brown stuff, is like the fading out of the Sharpie. Okay, and there's a little more over there, the fading out of the Sharpie. And you can continue down the side, and you can see, look, you can see the edge. It's just inked all over the place, right at the very corner. I'm gonna go back to the Mox Emerald with this better angle. So you can see up there, that's a bit of the inking. Up there too. Up there as well. And yeah, I mean, it's just not hard to see it at this level of focus or this level of resolution. A little bit there, it's fading away, fading away. So there you go. So this one's mostly faded away, and that's probably why no one really knows. It's just faded away. And so it looks almost like dirt, but it's not. The dirt is, you can see examples of the dirt. And it's not this. It's kind of like a, even the dirty card looks very white by comparison, right? So this card is very dirty. It's very HP. It's not clean at all on the border, but it looks white by contrast to the Sharpie. And then last here again, we'll go back to the Mox Jet. And we'll look at this guy. Okay, and you can see this one is in a different stage. So this one still has some of the darker Sharpie up at the top, but it's also, you know, there's some more darker Sharpie up at the top. but it's also starting to fade like the jet, like the emerald was. And then lastly, we look at the natural selection. Again, you know, where is it? There. There's, you know, there's none of that. I mean, you can see the broken border. It's still, the border is still kind of broken. You can see the blue core very clearly because it's not a very dirty card, and because there's no inking to kind of obscure that area. You see how clearly the blue core is visible, and it's not nearly as visible in the other ones because there is ink across that area. Here you can really see the blue core, and you can really see the crisp black edge and where the wear pattern is on the edge of this card. So this is an uninked card for another type of control. And that's the video for today. Thank you everybody who watched this. I really appreciate it because looking at cards like this, repairing cards, talking about cards is something I like to do. And you know, I don't have a lot of viewers, that's for sure. I put these videos up mostly just for myself and some people, friends of mine. But if you are interested, you know, leave a comment. And if there's anything you'd like me to ever do or do a video on, it would be my pleasure to do so. If you have any other thoughts and comments, also please feel free to leave them here. It's a place for like civilized discussion. If you have good points to make, please feel free to make them. Okay, take care, and till the next video.